Hey everyone, welcome. And it's another edition of Bowling with the Pfeff. I'm Andrew Pfeffer. Excited to see you here live on the YouTube channel or on replay if that's your preference. Every week we are interviewing bowlers with a passion for the game, a unique bowling story to tell, and it's all live here. If you're interested in joining us for an episode, let me know. Email me at bowlingwiththepfeff@yahoo.com, or you can DM me on Facebook. We have lots of openings and would love to hear your bowling story because they're all unique. And people with a passion for the game have great stories to tell, and we love to hear them. And we've got a great one this week again. Joining us from Eagan, Minnesota is Brent Prentice, who has just survived the PWBA Twin Cities Open. How you doing, Brent?
I'm doing good. I survived.
Yeah.
Oh, I tell you, I was barraged by 65 of the best female bowlers in the world. It was terrible.
That's a good problem to have.
It was awesome. Again, it was awesome.
Yeah. That was, of course, in late April. Afterwards, you told me that the tournament was absolutely fantastic when I asked how it went. And you've had this event twice before at Cedarvale under pre-pandemic circumstances. So I'm guessing there were some different things that went into making it go this time around.
Yeah, I mean, the weird thing was when I was preparing it, I have my checklist, and about 75% of the checklist was I couldn't do, and felt weird. It was like going on vacation and knowing you're forgetting something.
Yeah.
You know, I was like risers and staff and 100 people coming and bowling with the pros, and you didn't have to do that. And even when Tennille flew into town and we just went Wednesday, and she's like, well, I guess we're ready. But you know what? It was great. You know, I mean, people sat as Cedarvale set up, you know, in the glass part there. People were able to watch through the glass and you know, limited. I mean, we were able to have the bar open. You know, still couldn't have anybody, and you know, it was closed to the public, and it was different this year, but it went great. We had a great time, and the women were absolutely once again first class and awesome, and it was awesome. It was a good time.
Yeah. You mentioned, of course, no spectators allowed this time around, and with the bowltv.com, many people had that inside access in a virtual sense.
Yep.
But is there any way to describe to people what it was like inside the bowling center for those athletes and for those of you who, you know, those few of you who got to really be there?
Right. It was pretty cool. There was a lot of, you know, there's a lot more cameras. For Bowl TV is amazing, by the way. I mean, if you're a bowler, not even a bowler, you can just I mean, if you like bowling, that it's awesome because you can go deep. I wish they had that back in the, you know, in the 70s and 80s and 90s, just so, you know, we could have. Oh yeah, there's yep. Yeah. And there's a lot of that across the concourse area. So it looked like a newsroom. It was really cool. And is that the picture I gave you?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it was a lot of that. What you see there, a lot of important looking things that I have no clue what they do, other than thank God for the you know, the Bowl TV staff and PWBA. They know how to do all that stuff. So it just looked pretty cool. And that was spread out. You know, how many cameras did they have? I don't know, 8 cameras maybe. So it was pretty cool. There was a lot and they were set up in the concourse, and it was kind of neat, and it was quiet, you know, and there wasn't any cheering. You know, I did some cheering because I liked everybody, and every time somebody struck, I cheered them on if I knew them or not. You know, and the girls were awesome, and they cheered people on. But it was a great event. It was like a private celebrity bowling event that was, you know, no spectators this year, but you could go on to Bowl TV and watch that and just get really into it. It's so, you know, it's kind of like going to you know, it's sometimes you like to sit at home for a football game rather than going there because you can see it. Well, I don't know if that's true or not, but you know, you can see the details, you know.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Yeah.
You know.
What was it like to have great storylines like this. And let's start out, let's kind of list through a few of them. I want to start with Erin McCarthy, who works as a frontline nurse in a COVID unit
Yep.
in Omaha, Nebraska. She leads 3 of 4 qualifying rounds, ends up finishing 4th. For someone who's still working with patients for a few days and then heading out on tour, she's got to be easy to root for, right?
Well, yeah, and not only that is she's a great person too. Dry sense of humor, and she's just exactly who she's just great. And like I kind of remember talking to her, and she's like, "I'm just going in here, when you're going balls to the wall at work, and all of a sudden you come like, I'm not that practiced coming in, I'm not as prepared as I think, and you just have no expectations." Then that's what she's kind of going by,
Yeah.
and her body and bowling and instincts are just taken over. And look at, she's bowled really awesome lately, and I don't think she's stopped going since COVID, honestly. And we talked a little bit after the tournament and during the tournament, and she's amazing. I don't think she's stopped going for, between working and bowling for about a year now. She needs a long nap.
Yeah, I bet.
She won't though. She's a hard worker, and she'll just keep on going, but she's going to have a good summer.
Yeah, just amazing in more ways than one.
Yeah.
Amanda Vermiglia, who came
Yeah.
on our show thanks to our partnership, finished in 12th place. Well publicized. She's dealt with many health problems off the lanes, but keeps on coming back and bowling well. You've been basically around for her entire bowling career. What was it like to see her, perform so well in this tournament?
Oh man, she was at well, I've known her since she was a little girl. She used to come watch. I used to bowl with her dad in the Budweiser Classic League back in the mid '90s and stuff. And she used to come as a little girl and bowl afterwards. And she just loved to bowl. And I saw her, I've seen her whole career evolve. And then these health issues came and overcame them, and another health issue overcame that. And then she started really dedicating herself to wanting to be a professional bowler again and bowl like she used to. And let me tell you, I don't know, that is quite a story, just like the Bowler's Journal. If everybody gets a chance to read that Bowler's Journal article, it's amazing. And to see her bowl so well, and she was nervous, and she'll tell you that. And she practiced, she dedicated it, and every once in a while I text her, I said, "Get your butt in here." Because I can talk to everybody like that. But and she does. She gets her butt in there, and and she practiced on a different, and to see her bowl that well, I had no words really. She sat, a bunch of us sat in the bar, go figure, afterwards, and she just sat there with a couple of beers and went, "Wow." And I said, "Amanda," I said, "I don't know anybody that has accomplished what you just freaking did."
Yeah.
I said, "I have no words for you right now other than I'm so proud of you." Mm-hmm. And she just, looked at me and she said, "Yeah." I know she was proud of herself too. Yeah. I mean, that's an amazing story.
Yep.
Absolutely. And the pressure of bowling in your, home bowling center, hometown, mm-hmm. And the hype going up to it because, and she followed through. She's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, she's great.
Our other guest on that episode, Verity Crawley, finished 9th. This was her
mm-hmm.
first PWBA Tour event since her issues with her visa renewal.
Yeah.
And easy to cheer for, especially after she averaged more than 242 for the second 6-game block.
Yeah, she did. She bowled awesome. And, I think her kind of the same story as Erin. She just kind of went in there with, not as prepared as she wanted to be, just because of, they have very strict practice. They like to be polished, and she, once again, just like a couple of them, just went in there with no expectations, and the bowling instinct took over, and she averaged 242 for I think the second round, was it? Mm-hmm. I think something like that. And yeah. I told her it's because, well, honestly, the real truth is it is because I bought her Chipotle. And I said, well, you can thank me in some articles.
Right.
No, it's true though. No, I did. She liked Chipotle, so I gave her a little gift certificate just for a welcome back present.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's just great.
She is. Yeah. Kelly Kulick, the third place finisher, also finished second this past weekend in Lincoln. I imagine she wants that semifinal game in the stepladder back, but still what a great performance that I'm guessing she probably would have told you she needed.
Yeah. We were actually, I was kind of, visiting people during lunchtime, and a lot of them had lunch at Fitz's, and we chit chatted a little bit, and she's once again personal, like they all are, and to me they're celebrities because they are. I see them, I just think they're great.
Absolutely.
And she just said, I'm just kind of doing this. It kind of feels good. We didn't get too into it or anything like that, but I know there are some parts of her where I could see, her really getting into it, and a little spark, a little of that spark, especially the game prior to her 298 she had a 140. So to come back, when you shoot 140, not your best game, but then as a professional, Kelly Kulik just comes back, makes the right thing, and then has the next 11.
Yep.
I mean, only professionals, awesome athletes can do that.
Yep.
And it was great to see her. And I noticed something. It's funny because I had to walk down the lane 32, and I had to walk down there, and it was in a practice session or something like that. It was a practice session. Mm-hmm. And because I had a bowling ball fell out from behind and rolled down a couple lanes. No one could find it. I'm like, oh God, great. Here we go.
Yeah.
And so I walked down there, and the funny thing, when I was walking back from the lanes, I just saw Kelly bowl, and I noticed something different in her game. And it was, she was getting the ball out on the lane so much. And I'm like, I wonder if she's intentionally doing that. But I guess that's what, and I haven't tuned into many, and I've been tuning into the telecasts, and that's what she's been working on. And I noticed it right away. But I noticed it when I was walking side. I couldn't notice when I was looking down, from the concourse, but I looked at as I was watching, like, look how far she's getting. And it just looks really awesome. The ball, I swear to God, reads the lane better. It has a better reaction than the back end. I don't know. It looks great. He's just gonna, I don't know. I think she's gonna win at least 2 tournaments, if not more. That's my prediction.
All right.
Because
fair enough.
Yeah. He has that spark, and when that spark's back, when players hit, I don't say she wasn't a slump, but she was not in a slump, but when you have the spark back,
yeah,
sometimes is a huge flame, and they even get better, and
and she's one of them that sets the bar so high.
Oh, I know, right? And yeah, exactly. And she's just great. And I could tell she was a much more relaxed, ready to bowl person this year. Just wanted to be there. Not like she didn't before, but as she said as before in some interviews or whatever, it kind of felt like a job. And it's a tough thing,
Yeah.
It's traveling and doing this and being who you are and expectations. It's exhausting, and I don't know. I just saw a different person, and she wants to bowl good, and she wants to win, I'm rooting for her. I'm rooting for them all, and, I'm rooting for her too. So
yeah.
Right.
Of course, there can only be one champion, and that champion was Dasha Kovalova, who came into the stepladder and just destroyed the place.
Yeah, it was kind of what is she bowling on? She just stood there, and I watched behind her, and she's just have you ever got a chance to chat with her at all?
I haven't. No.
Well, anyways, it's worth the price of admission.
Okay.
She is funny. She's smart. She's artistic. She's everything. And she is most positive person. I mean, it's refreshing. You just watch her bowl and be around her, and it's just refreshing. It's just awesome. Yeah. She's very funny. And she crushed them. Those 2 games in the stepladder, they didn't really have a chance. Mm-hmm. And she wanted to redeem herself from her previous bowling in Arlington, and I remember her right away. She's like, "Well, she was like, I did better than I did last time on TV, didn't I?" Like, yeah, you averaged 263.
Yeah.
So, and then she's really emotional too. I mean, put all the funny stuff aside. She, and the bowl TV was done where we had a couple pictures, and I held her, and she held me, and she started. I go, "Did you text your mom?" And she goes, "No," and she just cried. And those are. When you work really hard and get accomplishments like that, it's emotional because all of that work and to see an outcome of winning a professional tournament, it's emotional.
Yeah.
So I held her for a couple minutes. It's pretty cool. She's awesome.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So, again, a great event. PWBA, of course, has a bunch of other stops, during the spring and summer. They were in Nebraska.
Yeah.
Do you ever speak with any of the other people that host events on the tour? Do you share notes or anything like that?
Um, the only person I called 3 years ago was John Lucido.
Okay.
He owns Sun Valley where they were just at.
Ah,
And I just remember calling him, and I just answered. I said, I got all these things to do, John, and I've never met him, but we've talked to him on the phone and text because we're both bowling geeks,
mhm.
and we talk. I mean, he likes the, just vintage bowling stuff, so we were kind of geeky that way. And I said, John, I just asked him a question about the risers, and I think I asked him a question about the paddock room area, about the shelving and stuff. And he just kind of gave me a lot of like, I go, what did you do where you don't have to tear apart the place to store some boat? But he gave me some good advice, and he's just awesome. Other than that, I really kind of just we've hosted some decent events. I mean, it's decent events throughout the year. So we just kind of did our Cedarvale thing, and
Mhm.
fake it if you don't know what you're doing. you know Yeah, and it went, that very first year was live television. That was the first for me because the back earlier was tape delay,
Mhm.
and but this was live TV back in 2018, and there was, the first 8 were all ripped up, and all these are doing this, and you got to get people there, and we got to think of a beginning and all this kind of stuff, and it was like, oh my gosh. Well, and I remember one of the production guys goes, you got to do this, you got to do this and this. I said, yeah, but we're going on live in like 4 minutes. He goes, yeah. I go, okay. So you just do it. And they were much more relaxed than I was. I was kind of a freaked out, but I won't freak out next time because I'll know what I'm doing, because once you go live, it's done. You're
Yep.
going live. I don't care where you're sitting, who people are, or what is this, and it was a great show.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm ready to do another one of them. We're all ready. I'm ready.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
So the picture we used for the graphic for this episode is up there right now.
Yeah.
And basically, you take this picture. She says bye-bye, runs
Yep.
off to Lincoln, shoots 300 in the stepladder, and wins the event. How cool is that?
I don't know who this woman is, actually. She was a person in the bar. She was really nice, and she bowled once in a while. And I thought, well, she'd be a nice girl to take a picture with. She said she was a bowler occasionally. Yeah.
Right.
But
Yeah.
all kidding aside, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of her. And
Yeah.
we've been texting back and forth throughout the last 7 days, and just because we kind of always have we joke around together. Her and I are a bunch of goofballs. That's all it is when we talk and text. We're a bunch of goofs. And I texted her the night before the telek. I said, bowl well, just be yourself, and bowl well. My gosh, she shot 300 and then won the tournament.
Yeah.
And then the next day was her birthday. So yeah, I'm pretty proud of her.
Yeah.
She's just awesome. We have a special bond. That's what she told me this morning. I'm like, oh, that's nice. We were talking about Fleetwood Mac, and I go, is that considered our oldies? And she's like, yeah, I don't know. I go, I do. We had a special bond because we both love Fleetwood Mac. So
Yeah. There you go.
I'm so proud of her, and she's just doing Liz things and just awesome. So humble, funny, everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me what the event, having the event this way taught you about maybe the PWBA or, or our sport in general, in light of all the challenges that were really in front of you,
Yeah.
as you planned and executed this event.
Well, this year was different, obviously. And what I learned from the people competing and being there was how truly, and from Tennille and all the PWBA staff, every single one of them at least once came up to my staff and came up to me and said, you didn't have to do this. You didn't have to shut down for 3 days. You didn't have to. They just said, thank you so much for being a support of the PWBA. We really, really appreciate it, because they get it. They're bowlers. If you're into the bowling, if you're a bowler, you know the bowling business, whether you want to or not. And they really appreciate it. So what I learned about that is how appreciative and understanding people are, And maybe it just gave us an all, and there is kind of a light at the end of the tunnel. So they're probably like, you don't know what you've got until it's gone. They didn't have a tour last year.
Mm-hmm.
They have a tour this year. And what I know from that, they're very grateful.
Yeah.
So, and that's, and that was their first real tournament back that was not the Kickoff Classic. So there was a lot of nerves involved. It was kind of, there was a lot of people I knew that were pretty darn nervous, and and some of them haven't bowled a tournament in a year and a half.
Yeah.
So they're just, what I learned from that is the bowling industry is, number one, we can make it happen, and we got through it, and the players were grateful.
Yeah,
extremely.
Yeah. So we've got to get on to your bowling story. Yeah. That's kind of what we're all about here.
Long ago.
Well, let's go back, to the days of, I don't know what, Manhattan Rubber or whatever, when you,
God, yeah. Right.
when you started. How did that all come to be? How did you start bowling?
When I started, well, my parents bowled in a league, and I thought, well, where do they go on? Where does Dad go Tuesday nights? Where does Mom go Wednesday nights? They go bowling, and I'm like, well, that's what they do. And then they bowled a couples league on the weekends, and I went with them a couple of times on the, to their league, and I didn't want to leave. I thought, well, this is crazy. You just roll something down a lane and knock shit over. This is awesome as a kid. And then they got me enrolled in a junior bowling program back in 1983 at the Carriage House Bowl. Now, if you remember Highway 12 and 169, there used to be a bowling center. There was the last Brunswick Bowling Center before Brunswick Eden Prairie.
Ah, okay.
There's a 32-lane bowling center attached to a hotel and a Chinese restaurant. Mm-hmm. And to this day, they had a huge junior bowling program. There was like 120 of us in 2 shifts. And it was Saturday at 9 o'clock. And as soon as I got on that, I got my polyester brown Brunswick Crown shirt on. And I had patches all over them by the end of the year, because that's what we did.
Yeah.
Thing was hideously uncomfortable. And I have made friends during that league. I probably have 15 to 20 friends that I made that whole year back in 1983 that I still talk to almost every day.
Wow.
Yeah, it's great. So that's where it started. And then I just loved it. Did well, kind of out-averaged all the kids in my age, and then wanted to do better. And then we moved our junior league to Texatonka because Carriage House was torn down. And then we moved to Tex. And Texatonka had not a big program, but they had some darn good bowlers bring out there. Sam Lanto, Debbie Johnson, Lisa Johnson, then I got to know their family, had some great coaching there, with my dad. He showed me the basics, which is, I still haven't really changed my game much, just 1, 2, 3, 4, go. Mm-hmm. But, with all that coaching, then I got better. And then as you get better, you want to be better. And if I'm going to do something, I want to be 100%. I don't want to just dink around and being, half-ass at it. And then I started winning tournaments. And then there was the thing called the JCBA back in the day. And that was the late 80s. And I bowled one of those. And my first tournament, I was so freaking scared. All these bowlers that I saw on the Metro Bowler, and I'm bowling with them. I almost puke my first game, and I'm like, oh God, please let there be a dry spot on the lane, please. Just let that. And you know where it was at? It was at Spectrum, next to your house.
That's where I was.
Yeah. And I'm like, and I finished 8th, which was, they took the top 8. I made match play. I thought, oh, cool. So, and thank God they had a little dry spot on the 2 board, which I could just throw up the 2 board, and that was no problem for me. And because that was the shot back then, all the times you had to touch the 2 board to get a strike. And and then I think the next tournament was in Alexandria, and I won it.
Wow.
So, and that was a tough shot. None of it. I think I averaged 200. No one else averaged 190. I shot a 279, and I don't know what I was doing either. I'm just throwing it in the middle because Alex is tough. It just all fell into place. And then So that was the junior part, and
let's
got better.
Let's stick with the junior part, because I asked somebody who about what you were like, well, what you were like as a bowler as a teenager, and you know how it was competing against you.
Oh no.
It was Katie Halflin, and
Oh
she said that you're still the same then you're still the same now as you were then. Incredibly kind, good natured, supportive, and encouraging of anyone's skill level, and a grand sense of humor. She said his love and compassion of and passion of our sport does stand out to me as unique from others somehow. How much did you love the sport as you were kind of growing in the ranks?
oh. First of all, Katie, thank you, and um, that's nice of you to say that. And I did see her a couple of years ago. She's just, I'm like, that's Katie, because she always had that great knee bend. I could identify her because she is such a good bowler herself. You know, if I got that low, I couldn't get back up in the approach. But what was your question?
I asked what the whole love and passion of the sport as you're
Oh,
growing through the
that's yeah,
ranks. How
yeah.
big a deal was it for you?
Well, it was everything. I obsessed about it. I wanted to go every day, and if I wasn't in a bowling center bowling, I was pretty quiet at home, and I would beg my parents to drive me to the bowling center and just somewhere and bowl, and that's all I cared about, you know. And I'm like, I know there's two things I have to do. I have to breathe, I have to go to school, and I have to bowl. And that's basically it. I was obsessed about it, and I was obsessed about everything, every part of it, especially the mechanics of it all. You know how the bowling balls are drilled, and you know I wanted that. You know, it was 1988. 88. I remember my first real good bowling ball was the Black Rhino. I'm
Oh
like,
yeah.
God, this is so cool. Look at this ball hook. It's amazing. And I was just obsessed about it, and it just went from there.
Sure.
That's all I
And
wanted to do.
you know, as you get better in it and you start growing a little older, you're going to want to do it in high school, right?
Yeah. Oh God, look at is that me on the left?
That's you on the left,
Oh, look at all that hair. Yeah.
and that's me on the right.
Yeah.
And
That's that spectrum during practice for a high school league.
yep, that's
Back
that
in
spectrum for the
19, yeah,
Armstrong High School bowling team. I'm guessing about
90.
91, 92. Or
Yeah.
so.
Yep.
Um, Tell me how that team came together because
Oh,
if memory serves, there wasn't
mm-mm.
a team before us, right?
No, and I couldn't. No, and I never knew why until I don't even. You know, it was so long ago. I don't even know who I asked. I
Mhm.
know. I think I don't know who I asked. I think I just started asking around. You wanted. I think I asked Spectrum Lanes because they asked me or something, and I thought, well, that can be our house, and then we'll get five guys together. It was me and you and
Mhm.
Goldstein and I think Tinku and
Yep.
David, and I know it was a pretty good team,
Yeah.
you know.
Dave Fifield and
Yeah,
Pat
yeah,
Humphrey.
yeah, and Pat, God, yeah, I can't forget about Pat, and you know that was a pretty darn good team. And how that came about, I was just curious, is like why we didn't have one, and no one could give me an answer. I said, fine, well, I'll just put one together, you know.
Yeah.
So I asked Pat, and of course we all said yes. What are you gonna not do, you know, if you're both.
Right.
So we practiced what we do Thursday practice, and then we had our Friday night matches or something. So
Yeah.
that was fun. It was good.
It
I,
was fun.
I also remember going to state finals and me chopping a spare to lose. So
Yeah.
that was what in the good Lord. What are you doing?
You know,
Oh,
this is a
oh my
visual
God.
medium. We gotta,
Was
kind
that
of.
the picture after I chopped the spare?
Oh no.
Oh,
That was probably on the same day that the other pictures were taken.
pissy. Okay.
um our coach for that team and for years to follow was Chris Gamick, who
Yeah.
unfortunately passed away
Oh,
several years ago.
yeah.
He was, I guess he was pretty gruff as a coach, but it took me a while to figure out. But
Sure.
we needed that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, with you're dealing with a bunch of, teenagers, and then goofier than when well, maybe not, but um but yeah, I mean, he had to. I mean, we were there for a purpose, and he had to put his, and we were all good kids, I mean, honestly. And but he wanted to see expectations, and he did us got some practice, and and he knew how to run a team, and he knew how to run, obviously, a tournament organization, MJBT, for years. And he just knew what we could do, and he was a great coach, and he was very serious.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
he was. Yeah, I miss him a lot because
Yeah.
he was a lot of fun, and I miss him a lot. He owed a lot to that family and his mom too. Because she did all the junior. She was the coordinator for all of us junior bowlers back then. So yeah.
Absolutely. We mentioned Pat, who was on the team, and I asked him about the times you bowling with and against him.
Mm-hmm.
He said some things.
Uh-oh.
I'm not going to get into all of them. We can talk about a few of them offline. But one of the things he said was that you were one of the friendliest competitors,
Mhm.
and that you wouldn't hear you complaining about lane conditions, etc.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, because I remember asking Verity and Amanda, who are very nice people, how do you kind of turn that off and become, the killer on the lanes? Was it easy for you to be that friendly, yet have that killer instinct it took to beat a lot of us in junior tournaments?
Yeah, I mean, I respected all my people I was bowling with. I mean, why wouldn't you? I mean, if you don't respect them, you don't have. They're not going to bowl, and then you don't have a tournament to bowl, so you just screwed yourself.
Yeah.
And I was always friendly with them because I wanted them to bowl well too. You don't want anybody to bowl bad. That's a horrible thing to say, and a horrible thing to wish on somebody. But once I stepped on the approach, I had my mental checklist. My brain kind of shut off and it went to bowling mode, and anything to the left and to the right of me.
Oh, we can hear you.
I know. Something happened here. Let's do this.
Okay.
Well, there you are. People are texting me, probably giving me a hard time.
Oh, there you go.
So, yeah. And once I got on that approach, I was like, I heard nothing. I had my feel. I never, honestly, I looked at an area. I was all field player. If I pretty much knew what was going to happen in my second or third step. I'm like, well, this ain't going to be good at all. That happened about most of the time, but I did strike a couple of times, but
yeah, a few.
But it was all feel. Like, I don't look at the arrows. If I don't look at the arrows, it's way too far away. I look at the dots. I draw an arrow. I look at the dots. I kind of look at the path and to me, and then I looked at the arrows and I looked at the dots, and then no, I don't look at the arrows. It's too far away. I tried looking at the arrows. I'm like, I feel like I was bowling like this.
Yeah.
Made the ball go longer. I needed some more hook to begin with. My God. Go any straighter than it is. I got to get the 5 out.
Right.
8. So yeah, I also, I had high expectations of myself. I don't like to bowl bad. Mm-hmm. No one likes to bowl bad if you're in a competition. It's not what you're there for. You're there to bowl good. And there's times where I was really cranky too. Mm-hmm. But it's nice that they say that, because maybe it didn't show a lot, but I was pretty cranky at myself later for doing some things, but I respected everybody. Why not?
Yeah.
Why have people that don't like you? They ain't gonna do. That's karma. You're going to leave an 8-pin.
Or worse.
You need all the help you can get. Don't fucking be nice to people.
Yeah.
And I believe in karma. So just be nice to them. And plus, you never know. You might end up owning a bowling center, and they might be spending 31 weeks a year at your bowling center in 25 years. You never know.
Right.
Yeah, thank God.
So at some point, you decide to kind of make the transition into adult leagues and adult tournaments. What was that like for you?
I was ready. I pretty much stayed right up until the end. And I was like, well, I did what I wanted to do in juniors and stuff. And now it's time to go to adult. And I was asked by the Lynn's shoe company. Well, so I was at Lynn's shoe team to join their team. And they were all the top bowlers in Minnesota. And I was like, oh yeah, thanks. All these guys that I was love to read about, all their bowling stuff and skills, and now I'm going to be part of that team. So I went from right away up juniors to bowling on the Lynn's team, and it was like, this is great. And the funny thing about it was, my first term with the Lynn's, I was not nervous whatsoever. It's like I kind of felt I belonged there. I thought it would be, looking back, I'm like, how are you not nervous? But I think I was more excited and nervous. Like, good, I get to bowl with some good people. And the amount of learning I could learn from those guys, I think I was more excited than nervous because I knew I was going to learn from those great bowlers. You know, you Carl and, you know, and all those guys. And, you know, there was actually 2 Linz teams. So there's 20 of us guys that were sponsored by Linz. And I think all of them are on the Hall of Fame or at least one of them. So
pretty good pedigree.
Yeah. Yeah.
You had a couple of fantastic years, and I'm underselling it. In the CBA, 98, 99, 01, 02, 02, 03, you're a first teamer. And you won 2 of those tournaments, including the doubles at Island Extreme in 09 with Carl. And I asked him about that. I said, what was that like, for you? And, he said it was one of the most rewarding tournaments, taking first place with as good a friend and player as Brent. This guy has an incredible career. I mean, that must mean a lot coming from him.
Yeah, he's coming up fishing and he wants to stay longer. That's why. No. He wants the comfy bed. No.
Give him the comfy bed.
Yeah, I know. No, he did. 10 years older than I. He has to. He won't get out if you don't. No, that was one of my favorite wins, strictly because it was with him and he's fun to bowl with. And I was starting to not bowl. I was starting to lose my fire for bowling. I bowled every tournament since 80 until then. And I was starting to miss a couple, and it just was. And then I bowled doubles with Carl, and we did okay in qualifying. And then in match play, I think the last, and I don't know what happened to us, but we found a little bit of hold, and we was on a ton of oil, so we just tugged everything. It's great if you're a straight player and if you tug something and you're a straight player and it strikes. I'm like, oh, good God, great.
Yeah.
So we just pulled everything for the next 9 games and averaged 265.
Oh my gosh.
And I was bowling with Langer, and I forgot his partner, maybe his brother, and they're higher rev players, and they're also my best friends. They're awesome, and they were crossing a little bit of boards. But Carl and I were doing fallback 5 flush for 3.5 hours, and we were like, wow, that's a lot of strikes. And then the same condition held up, the hold shot held up, and the kind of fallback flush shot held up during I think that was actually live streamed. It was live streamed, and we won both. We were second, and we won both matches. So, whooped them actually. I think we went 270, 260. So I think the last ton of games there. I don't know. I think we missed 4 times. It was crazy. It was crazy. Everything carried. So
yeah, and you need that sometimes.
It makes up for the days that you sit there and don't.
For sure.
Yeah.
Tell me about when you decided that you wanted to get into the business of bowling and be an owner and own Cedarvale.
Well, it was, I started working there as a desk person, and I remember bowling next to Bob Klatt, who was the bowling manager at the time. And he asked me during one of my first couple of CBAs, we had a break, and he goes, "Do you want to work the desk at Cedarvale?" I said, "I'm at Texatonka now, and and I'm like, I'm making a good." I was like at $7, which was $7 an hour. I'm like, whoo. He offered me $9 an hour, and I thought, oh my God, I can get my car.
There you go.
What am I gonna do with all this money?
Right.
And I'm like, Thursday, and it just was on Thursday. He goes, "Can we just have you Thursday?" I said, "Sure, I can do a Thursday." And I was still going to school at the time. And then it went to Friday, and then it went to Bob left for Linz to work for Linz, and then I became the bowling manager. And then a year after that, I became the president of the company. And I was only there 3 years, and I'm president of the company. And after 5.5 years, I was one of the owners. And I'm thinking,
wow,
and and the previous owners wanted still my business partners too that are in it. They were there running, I was more on the bowling side, and Sharon was in the books, and Greg was in the kitchen and bar, and we're still all there, and we're just, we're asked to, hey, now that you guys are running a great bowling center, this group of owners wanted to leave, and they weren't on hand owners anyways, and they just offered up this scenario, and the next day we're all in debt.
Just like that.
But yeah, we're still paying it off. But no, it's been a great ride, and that was, I think I've owned it now or been co-owner with, oh God, I couldn't even tell, 18, 20 years, 20 years maybe. Yeah, pretty.
Yeah.
I was pretty young to have all that happen to me, and I remember a couple of years there, I thought, boy, you have to be more thick-skinned. Because you're going to go through a lot of, there's like, you got the bar, you got the restaurant, you got banquets, you got volleyball, you got people's personalities, you got employees. And I thought, oh God, this, but respectful, just kind of like I do on the bowling, when I'm stepping up to bowl, I'm very serious at the bowling center when it comes to business. And yet again, if you get me out of the, just to be social, I'm, like awfully fun. And
Yeah.
it's been a great ride. It's been able to me do it. It's been able to me to give back a lot, and especially for junior bowling. And my junior bowlers are awesome, and I have great coordinators over the years. I've had so many great junior bowling coordinators. So, that's kind of how that is, and so that's where I am today.
Yeah,
every day's a new day.
That's right. It's resonating too. I mean, Katie said she doesn't know a better ambassador for the sport and those who enjoy the game there in Minnesota than Brent.
Oh, that's cool. I appreciate that. And yeah, life's too short. You gotta make things fun. You gotta life's too darn short, as we all, this last 14 months, it's been hard on all of us. Yeah. And they keep on saying that we're all in this together. It's true, because you can get really down on yourself and selfish, like, oh, this is going terrible for me. This is going terrible for me. And I got this going. And I remember during the shutdown, that's happened twice for us. The first one, does it happen 3 times? I can't remember. I try to block those days out. It's weird to go in there on a daily basis and go into a dark bowling center that should have hundreds of people in there, and the National Guard is in your parking lot protecting the mall, and probably us if there was an issue, and the Eagan cops there. It was the scariest, most stressful part I have ever been through in my life, and thinking, are we going to survive through this? And I learned a lot about myself, and yeah, it was a very scary time. The second shutdown, I'm like, yeah, we did this before.
Yeah.
No, it was just as scary, but without the rioting and looting. It was scary, but we survived through it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
There are a few people who want to say, hey, before we get you out of here. Aaron Grand. You know that? Do you know Aaron Grand?
I don't know, Aaron. Maybe it's a screen name.
It could be. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about Angie Schmitz?
Oh yeah, she's one of the family friend, my sister from another mister. Yeah, she's awesome. Her whole family is her whole family. We're still family friends with them, very close. They are the people that I got. We made teams back there. If you were just a single bowler back in 1983 at Carrick's Bowl, they just teamed these little kids up together, and she was one of them.
Oh, neat.
Yeah. So we're still there. Her and her sister and her parents were my coach with my dad, and we do stuff all the time. Yeah.
Sure. And you got a John Burns?
Oh my gosh. My old beer distributor dude. I think that's him. I haven't seen him in a couple of years because he's not on the route, but yeah, I think that's him.
Yeah.
If it isn't, well, hi John. I'm pretty sure it's him, but it's been a while.
Yeah.
Very good, good guy. Good guy.
Yeah. We gotta stick to our tradition, and going off the sheet means you got to challenge somebody. So, Brent Prentice, who would you like to challenge to be on a future episode of Bowling with the Fef?
Well, I thought about this, and I'm thinking, coming straight off the PWBA, I thought, oh my gosh, who would be one that I would like to challenge her and challenge them? And it's going to be 2 people at the same time, because you need to have these 2 together.
Okay.
The Boomershines. Lindsay and Hank. Because we had a blast together, and we always do. They gave me a nice gift. It was good to see them, and I met Hank a couple of times and before years ago for like 5 seconds, and we just hung out and had a great time. And they got stories. She's got stories. They are fun. They're the sweetest people. And, I could name about 120 that I would love to have on here, but just coming off of them, I'm challenging those too.
All right. Well, Hank and Lindsay, if you're watching either live or on replay, and you're interested in, in meeting Brent's challenge, let me know. You can email me at bowlingwiththefef@yahoo.com or DM me on Facebook. We will get you on the schedule. We would love to have you on the show. Brent, it's time for you to go. You got to get back to the bowl. But it's really been a pleasure to have you on. And let me tell you, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for the partnership. Over the past month, we've had some spectacular guests, and you've been able to line those guests up to kind of lead us up to the tournament. And I couldn't be more thankful.
Oh, you're welcome. And I just, even though you're a good friend of mine too, is you have a good, I think it does help being a newsman that you are, that with professional on the TV, great interviewer. Deandra as Batty, we talked for quite a while, and she said that was the best podcast I've ever been on because you opened up so many emotions and so many things she thought about. She's like, that was the best podcast I've ever been part of. I said, yeah, he's a special gift. Yeah. Oh. So you got a good thing going. That's why you have all these good people. It's good.
that means a ton, coming from you, coming from her. I would have, never guessed, starting this up that, folks like you and Deandra would say those things. So it means a lot.
It's good. It really does. Well, keep on keeping on. That's what I tell people when they're doing a good job.
Thank you. You too. And we will see you at the bowl sometime. I got to get back out there and, get my own game back to where it needs to be.
Yeah. If I'm going to bowl nationals, that means in June 26th, that means I got to start bowling probably mid-June. So
okay,
let's practice together and we could pick ourselves off the approach.
You got it. The buddy system.
Yeah, like, get him, he's down again. Get the ibuprofen in the ice.
Yeah. All right. Well, Brent, again, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And have a great night at the bowl.
All right. Thank you. Have a good one.
Bye. You betcha. There he goes. Brent Prentice, just a terrific guest and a terrific proprietor at Cedarvale Lanes in Eagan, Minnesota. If you're ever in the area, check him out. Just a great facility with a lot of history and a great place to bowl. Our next live stream is coming up Wednesday, May 12th at 6 p.m. Central. That'll be right here on the YouTube channel. So we hope to see you then. Until then, be just and fear not. And we'll see you next time.